My presentation is on a man who, besides being a great diplomat, which is obviously what I'm going to talk about, was also a scientist, an inventor, and a writer, and he excelled at all of those things during his life. Benjamin Franklin invented the common American penny, the rocking chair, the Franklin stove, which was a way of conserving heat, and it like conserved heat, and it was able to use the least amount of fuel to make a very efficient stove that was used for a while after he invented it. He also invented the bifocals, which were ways of having glasses that you could switch from looking far away to looking up close. So obviously you think that he would have had a great education as a young boy. Wait, okay, it's the bottom one. What is diplomacy, though? Diplomacy, and the way that I defined it, is the art of dealing with people in a sensitive and effective way. And that is definitely what Franklin did during his time in France. Franklin's life. He was born January 1st, 1706, and died, January 17th, 1806. And he died March 16th, 1790. A jack of all trades. Franklin was truly a jack of all trades. He was interested in many different things during his life, and he excelled at all of them. He excelled at politics, inventing, writing, and also diplomacy. Franklin was born on January 17th, 1706, in Boston, what was known as the Massachusetts Bay Colony at that time. Benjamin Franklin's father, English-born soap and candle maker Josiah Franklin, had many kids. He had 7 children with his first wife, and 10 with the next. Franklin was his 15th child and his youngest son. Mrs. Dogood. But Ben Franklin learned he learned under his brother James how to write and work in a printing press. His brother James managed a newspaper called the New England Courant. And his brother James was actually very abusive to him. He gave him very few privileges and even physically hit him when Benjamin did something wrong. And even though Benjamin was interested in writing and literature, James never gave him his chance. So Benjamin adopted the alias Mrs. Silence Dogood. And her 14 imaginative and very witty letters delighted his readers, and he became very popular through that alias. At the end of 1732, Benjamin Franklin published the first edition of Poor Richard's Almanac. Besides forecasts, poems, and other things an almanac would have, he had his very witty sayings that he would become well known for, was his wit in the way that he wrote. Perhaps you could remember some of his sayings: early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And also, he who lies down with the dog shall rise up with fleas. So, Poor Richard's Almanac was very popular, and Ben Franklin published it for very many years. By 1748, the 42-year-old Franklin had become one of the richest men in Philadelphia. He became a soldier in the Pennsylvania militia. He turned his printing business over to a partner to give himself more time to conduct scientific experiments for himself. He moved to a new house in 1748. Politics and diplomacy. After voting for independence in 1776, Franklin was elected Commissioner to France, making him essentially the first ambassador to France from America. He set sail to negotiate a treaty for the country's military and financial support, which would become very influential in the U.S. in the young fledgling colonies' fight against Great Britain. Franklin played a big role in negotiating the 1783 Treaty of Paris, ending the Revolutionary War. He was revered by his peers as a skilled speaker and diplomat. Franklin's death. Benjamin Franklin died April 17th, 1790 in Philadelphia. He was at the home of his daughter Sarah Beck. He was 84. Benjamin Franklin was truly a jack of all trades. He excelled in inventing science. He discovered electricity. He was also very successful in his writing career as well. That's what made him rich, and he used his wealth and influence to be very influential in the birth of America. I'm missing a slide. Okay. Franklin was a skilled diplomat as well, and that's what I want to focus on. He had negotiations with France, which played an enormous role in America's eventual victory in the Revolutionary War. If not for France, it is very likely that America could have lost to Great Britain. That would have had disastrous consequences. He also had a famous quote. He said during arguments in the Constitutional Convention, Franklin, who was late of age, he said, "We must all hang together, or most assuredly we will all hang separately." This was the wit that he was known for in his life, and he used to become very influential. We should all learn from Franklin's life and diplomatic skill, as he was very effective in many things that he did, and he should be a role model to all of us. All right, that's it.
Okay, very good.